What's up, you warriors, jarls, and berserkers? Welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am PJ. I went over with at the Viking level, 6 skill sets you need to own to make it through what's coming, right? And in this video, I thought I would talk about how you, dear Viking, can get these skill sets. No matter where you are, you too can be taught these things if you don't know how. And if you do know these things, you should be teaching them to other people. I was reflecting on my life as I was preparing to do this video, and I shot my first deer when I was 10 or 11. I said one or the other. It was somewhere right back there. And so before that, I learned how to shoot. I learned where to shoot a deer, that kind of thing. I learned how to process deer that same time. I learned I was a Boy Scout. My dad taught me how to fish, and I would run around and fish with just my buddy all day long in the summertime until the street lights came on. And so I learned how to clean fish, those kind of skill sets. So we got shooting and food right there. I was a Boy Scout forever. I was a Boy Scout scoutmaster, the adult kind of in charge of the troop for years. Yes, I was in the Army. I was a Green Beret. I'm a survival instructor. So I've got all those I'm blessed to have had all those experience and skill sets. And some of those things you can't do. If you're over 40, there's no chance you're going to become a Green Beret if you weren't. And so, well, that doesn't mean all is lost. And I thought of ways that you can get these skills. So I'm going to go back down through the skill sets. And if you have an idea other than what I say on how to obtain these skill sets, all of us would benefit from you saying it because I'm not perfect. All right, first one, shoot. The best way to learn how to shoot. I told you these skill sets don't require money, and then I thought about it for this video, and some of them do. I guess the best way to learn how to shoot is to find somebody who knows how to shoot to those standards. 25 yards paper plate, 25 yards with a handgun, 200 yards with a rifle. You should be able to do that. If they can do that, they can probably teach you. And that's the best way. Yes, ammunition's going to cost, but it shouldn't take a lot if you learn the basic fundamentals first. Probably the most efficient way to learn is to take a class. Take a class on shooting. The NRA has classes. Johnny Appleseed, they have classes in some places. You have to look them up. Google is your friend. Facebook, that kind of thing. I'm not on Facebook, but a lot of y'all are. But seek instruction on shooting. You're not going to be able to learn how to shoot from a YouTube video. You're going to have to go out there and do it. And honestly, if one doesn't know how to shoot, being self-taught, not a great way. You will develop bad habits that are then harder to break. And so, yeah, find a friend who knows how to shoot. Like if I was your friend, I would teach you how to shoot for free, or pay somebody to do it. But I guarantee if you have any kind of social life at all, there are people around you who know how to shoot. I would just caution you, make sure they can shoot to the standards I stated. If they can't shoot to those standards, they really have no business teaching anybody. And for those of you who shoot, those aren't difficult standards. Those of you who shoot well. There's a lot of Americans who go, last night I was sitting in the woods contemplating my navel, and I hear bam, 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 bam. Somebody basically in the countryside went out and ripped a 30-round magazine. And I thought, you just wasted like $30. I can tell by the way you were shooting, you didn't do anything except make noise. Yay, good for you. So seek out training for shooting. Seek out classes. As long as I'm talking about that, it's beyond the standards of what I was telling you, but most reputable, excuse me, gun schools, which you will have to travel probably, and you'll probably have to get a hotel room and buy ammo, and most of them teach what I call Combat Handgun 101. How to draw fire, reduce stoppage, how to load a couple different ways, how to shoot multiple targets. That's usually one class, like Combat Handgun 1. And that would do you well to take that class. Find that class somewhere and take it. They call it different things, but usually it's, basic combat handgun or whatever. All right, first aid. How are you going to learn first aid? The Red Cross teaches a fair first aid class. You can find it in your area. Look up the local Red Cross chapter and go talk to those nice people. A lot of times, if you have a group, that is a better way. They're not going to do a onesie thing with you. So you're either going to have to find out when they're doing a public class, or if you have a group of people, you can get them to teach that group of people. That group of people doesn't need to be your prepper squad. It could literally be your bowling team. It could be, the little old ladies quilting circle. They could decide they want to learn first aid, whatever. But the Red Cross will teach you. There are a couple institutions that are teaching almost combat first aid, TCCC and tactical combat casualty care, that kind of thing. Refuge Medical teaches. They've got classes coming up. You can check them out at refugemedical.com. I've been to several of their classes. Now, understand, I've been to a lot in my life of medical classes, and Refuge Medical is at the top. They are. So you can check them out. But there's other people around the country that do it. Again, just Google TCCC, and look and find that. Boy Scouts used to teach good first aid. I don't know what Boy Scouts is doing anymore. Are they even an organization anymore? Get woke, go broke. But they used to teach things. Now, if you can get the older, like black and white, you can tell it's old by the pictures. Boy Scout First Aid, Merit Badge book, that's good. The old, like from the 60s and 70s, Boy Scout Field book has good first aid stuff in it. Now, here's the thing, gang. Just reading it and looking at the pictures is not going to help you. You're going to have to do the things until you can do it blindfolded fast, right? And so you're actually going to have to, for all these skills, you are going to have to put in work. Yep, you're going to have to put in time to earn the skill. Work. You're going to have to be outside of your comfort zone. You're going to have to do something that's going to be stupid and it's not going to work. And it's like not tight enough, not deep enough, not whatever. And okay, you screwed up. You didn't do it right. You're going to have to go back and do it right. That's how you learn. That's how you learn. But those are ways to learn first aid. I was on a volunteer fire department and we did like first responder training. I told my wife, I actually got her to do it. Because I have a high level of medical training, like right below paramedic, over EMT, just because of what I've done. And my wife didn't have any SK. And she joined the fire department, and they said, hey, we have an EMT slot coming up. Or no, we paid for it. Maybe they just said there's EMT slots at this community college. Maybe that was it. And anyway, I got her to go. And she's like, why? You know all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, what if I'm the one that's wounded? And she's like, okay. And so she went and got EMT. It's like a semester course, and you can do that. We have a Shofarian who's a nurse, and she is getting ready to take EMT training. Now, in the medical field, nurse is higher than EMT. And that's a whole medical thing that you learn when you're doing it, but you defer to the higher trained person, in medical situations. She's already higher trained than an EMT, but there's subtle nuances. And so she's taking EMT training. She's going to get her EMT certification. And we're very happy about that. So that's a way for that. Food. How do you learn how to grow vegetables? All of those of you who grow vegetables, how do you learn to grow vegetables? Grow vegetables. Read what you can. There's so much information online. Our own Gordon Kakulo is hooking me up with some cool pumpkin seeds, and I've been already reading. I know how to plant a pumpkin. I've done it. I've grown pumpkins, but I want to plant these pumpkins well. So I'm just doing some reading on, what's the soil conditions, sunlight conditions, water conditions, yada, yada, yada. And, but then you got to go do it. Right? And so plant a garden. I don't care if you live in an old folks home. You can plant a garden. When we lived in this one city, we didn't live in the city, but we went into the city almost every day. And we would park in a parking lot over here and walk over here to places that we would go. And my wife, SK, discovered one time, we were at like where the sidewalk goes like into 3, and there's like a little patch of bald grass with typically a crushed soda can and a cigarette butt and stuff, just that little area. It was a garden, like a guerrilla garden. There was basil and peppers, like hot peppers, and something else growing in there. Didn't really stick out. It wasn't like a tomato plant. And she goes, that's basil. Hey, that's hot peppers. And we think it was somebody, because there was an old folks tower right next, apartment thing. And we think some of them just went out there and planted a little guerrilla garden. And then, you come out and snip some little basil leaves for your dinner and some little Thai peppers or something. So you can do that. You can plant stuff in a windowsill, if that's all you have. You can plant food. And then if you live in a house or a townhouse or something like that, use the flower garden area and plant some veg. And if it's like, we're not allowed I lived in Hawaii on military housing, you weren't allowed to plant vegetables in your garden. So we planted vegetables that didn't look like vegetables. And we planted our tomatoes around the back where a nosy neighbor wouldn't see it and report us or something. But we planted a couple tomato plants, and we planted like carrots. Carrots don't look like vegetables. They just go down underground. You can do it. Potato plants look kind of nice when they're growing. It's just, use your imagination, get out there and plant stuff. And then how do you learn to butcher an animal? This is one of those things that's best to be taught in person. Sure, read all you want. I mean, my wife and I, when I shot my first deer as an adult, because, I did shoot my first deer at like 10 or 11, and I learned kind of about gutting a deer and that kind of thing, but I learned nothing about butchering a deer, because my dad would pay to have somebody butcher it. And then so now I'm an adult. We go hunting for the first time at Fort Benning, Georgia, and my wife's with me. I took her out. We're sitting here. Long story short, maybe I'll tell that story to the Jarls and Berserkers. We shot a deer, brought it home to our military quarters. I knew how to gut it because every year at that time, Field and Stream, Outdoor Life, they all give tutorials on how to gut a deer. Not hard. It's not hard if you read the instructions. So I knew how to do that. I gutted it in the field, brought it home. Here's this animal with no guts in it, hair on it. Okay, taking off the skin is pretty straightforward. Now I have this meat there, looking like, Rocky, side of beef, side of deer, and I had no clue what to do. I didn't have a clue how to butcher. We were butchering ourselves. And so anyway, we did it using a Ragnar Benson's Survival Poaching and a Foxfire book where it talks about how to butcher a hog in each hand, and it worked. Right? But you got to do it. And I raised my kids starting when they were really little, butchering rabbits and squirrels and stuff. So they all know how to do it. But it's best if you find somebody to teach you how to do it. Find a hunter. How do you do it? Next time you shoot a deer, can you invite me over? I'll help you butcher it. You can start there. I'll help you cut it up and, wrap it and all that. You'll learn a lot doing that. Okay, so that was that, and then cook over fire. How do you learn to cook over fire? That you have to back up. You have to learn how to build a fire first. And you can self-teach this. You can read about the different kinds of fire. A keyhole fire, a boiling fire is like, hot, quick. You can use like split pine, flames coming up, you boil over top of it. Baking fire, coals, how to use a Dutch oven. You can read all about this. You can probably watch YouTube videos on it. The Boy Scout Field Book is really good on this, the older one. Sorry, allergies. And then you need to go do it. And I am here to tell you, everywhere we have lived, I'm trying to make sure I'm not lying to you. I'll just put a safety caveat in there. Pretty much everywhere we ever lived, and we moved about every 18 months for 20 years when I was in the military, we had a fire ring in our backyard where we built fires, real fires. Now, we're not dancing around the fire and make people call the fire department. We'd build little fires, but we'd cook over them. We'd sit around with the family and, roast marshmallows or whatever. It wasn't charcoal. It wasn't, a gas grill. It was a fire with wood that we went out and found. And some places we didn't have wood in our yard, so I'd find an old pallet and bust it up and break it up, and then we'd have a little family fire. You just got to do it. And you can start out, once you learn about the different fires, you're going to have to self-educate. Buy a chunk of meat. It's easier to cook beef than chicken when you're first getting started. There's a tip. And go cook it. Make some kebabs. Cook them over your fire. You'll learn a lot. Learn how to boil how to cook your rice over a fire in a pot. I know, what a concept. But just learn how to do that. Learn how to do foil meals, and again, man, Boy Scout Field Book. You want to cook over fire, Boy Scout Field Book's great. I also have a pretty decent book. It's not here. Written by a Mormon woman about, I think, get outside or something like that. Next time I'm there, I'll get that book out. I'll try to remember and give you guys a book review on it. It's pretty good. She's got a lot on cooking with like foil meals and Dutch ovens and skewers and all this stuff. Hand washing stations, all that. So there. How do you learn how to build a fire? You just got to do it. Start with perfect conditions, a nice dry day and nice dry kindling. You have to learn how to source your own kindling, right? And, dry sticks and dun, 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 dun. And it's a trial and error thing, but you'll figure it out. You just got to do it. And you do have to progress. I'm dead serious when I say you should be able to, meaning you should have done it a few times. Go out when it's raining in your backyard or your woods or whatever and start a fire in the rain. No Boy Scout water, no fuel accelerant, a Bic lighter, a knife, and a poncho if you need one, a little tarp or something. But you should be able to get a fire going when everything's wet. Socialize. How do you learn to fit into a group? How do you learn to talk to a stranger? You can read some books. How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think it was written in the 40s or 50s of the last century. Is a good book. Read it. Apply the things it says. And you're going to have to just practice. You're going to have to talk to people. Force yourself. Dog, hush. That dog is so whiny. You're going to have to force yourself to do it. And so tell yourself, today I'm going to Walmart. I don't go to Walmart, PJ. You shop somewhere. Use your brain. I'm going to whatever, Piggly Wiggly's. And I'm going to talk to the person behind me in line. Turn around and talk to them. Talk to them about anything. Find something to talk about. Don't be creepy. You have to be able to do that. And you're going to bomb a couple times. But you have to. My wife and I do it all the time. We call it foxing people. We try to get beyond the normal. You find everything okay? Yep, we did. Thanks. You looking forward to Christmas? Yep. No. We don't say that, but whatever. No, you got to get to it. You got to get to a real conversation. And if we do all kinds of things, if the manager just came over and turned keys on the girl usually's register and then walks away, you lean into him and you go, is she a good boss or a bad boss? I'm telling you, people love it when you talk to them like a real person and kind of conspiratorial like that. You can say to them, so when do you have time to go shopping? Because they're there checking you out or whatever. You can turn to the person behind you. You don't really want to talk about I don't know. Some people are so awkward. I don't know. Let me just picture in my head. There's a woman behind me. Turn around, look at her. I'll be like, man, can you believe this line? Just like that. And she'll say, I know, it's like everybody's coming shopping here. It's like, I know, right? You would think people would do it early. See, I'm already in my mind turning this into a prepper conversation with this person I don't even know. And then it's like you just start going. You would think people would have enough rice; they don't have to run out and buy more rice, or whatever. Or if somebody has a kid that's like having a little baby meltdown in the car, I'll turn around and look at them. I'll look at the kid and I'll go, you know what? We've all had kids. They all melt down at the worst times. So you're kind of reaching out and giving them a lifeline. And they're like, oh, I know. It's just so terrible. And that, I mean, you can talk to people about anything, but you have to practice doing it. And you have to, your heart will be beating if you're not good at this. And you'll be like, and start talking to them. Just start talking to them about things. And you'll learn not to do creeper things. Like, I would never turn to a woman and go, so are you married? I mean, that's creepy, right? That's like, dude, get away from me. You got to have real, but the only way you really learn to do that is by doing it. And then how to fit into a group. Read that book. If you have trouble fitting into groups and you haven't read that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, get it. You can probably get it for like $1 or something used. Read that book, and you have to learn there, Mr. Pride-filled, Mrs. Pride-filled Viking. Bring yourself down a little bit. Remember, the goal is to fit into this group, even if it's only your personal exercise. You need to typically speak less, but you have to speak. You can't be the creeper who doesn't ever say anything, he's just staring at people. You have to have a conversation, but generally you got to let the people who think they're in charge of this group be in charge of this group and do most of the talking. You need to match their tone. You need to match their clothing. You need to match their... And gang, I don't care if you wear Carhartts with ripped up sleeves and jeans with holes in the knees and old combat boots day to day. If you're going to a group where they're all wearing polo shirts and khakis, and you're trying to fit in, guess what you're going to wear today? Polo shirts and khakis. I would never do that. That's your problem. That's your problem right there. Because there's a time coming when you're going to have to fit into a group. And if you haven't practiced doing it, you're not going to be able to. So again, like anything else, give yourself drills. Decide you're going to go, that one neighbor half-handedly invited you to come to their Bible study or something, and you said no, or you said, whatever. Approach that neighbor when he's out mowing his lawn or she's out, whatever, and go, when you invited me to that Bible study, yeah, I'd like to come. Now go fit into that group. Go a few times, and then if you want to quit going, that's fine. But fit into the group. That's your task. My task is to get invited to the I don't know, the skeet shooting club. I don't know how to shoot skeet. It doesn't matter. Groups always want new people. They will teach you. And then you'll learn a new skill. So that's it. And then, move. I said 50-yard dash, jog 2 miles, walk 10 miles. How do you do that? How do you think? Just start doing it. If you are a soft body, and you just don't do stuff like this, you're not going to start running a 50-yard dash. Go run as fast as you can for as far as you can, and then just jog. All right, I'm going to see how far I can run full out. I'm running for $1 million. And you get halfway down your yard on your sidewalk. Okay. Just start jogging. I can only jog for 2 minutes. Okay, turn around and jog back. Tomorrow, do more. You can do it. You just have to start doing it. You have to consciously decide you're going to do it. If it helps, join a gym. I would not recommend joining any kind of gym. One, you don't need a gym. Two, most people who join gyms, especially this time of year, they pay all the money up front. They never go, which is why gyms make you pay a year ahead of time, or they make you lock your credit card in or something. I would never do that. Matter of fact, we used to go to Planet Fitness when we lived in our trailer for the shower. My wife joined for $20 a month and could bring me as a guest. And we would go several times a week to take showers. And it's like, well, while we're here, might as well get on the treadmill and throw some weights around. And so we would do that, and we quit when they wanted to go to, we need your credit card information, and we want to, lock you into a 1-year contract. We're like, why? We pay all the time. We're never behind in payment. I don't think we're allowed to come in if we're not paid up. We always pay ahead. They're like, it's corporate policy. We're like, we're not joining anymore. But smaller gyms you can find out. Thing about gyms is if you get in a program, not yourself going to the gym, because you'll make up sad excuses for yourself not to go. But like when I was in CrossFit, I love CrossFit, by the way. I know some of you don't. I think CrossFit's awesome. They do things to form tribe, if you will. They were one of the first public groups to start throwing that term around. But it's like you form a little relationship, a little group with your workout group. And it's like, hey, where were you yesterday? It's kind of like some accountability, right? And so then you go back. So if you can do something like that, you get people encourage you to go. If you can get with a buddy and say, hey, how about we start working out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever. All right, we're going to do it at this time. All right, I'll be there. You're kind of obligated to go, right? And so that's a good thing if you can get like a buddy. Flexing, you should stretch every day. Especially, I know this audience, there's a lot of people who are in the older end of the spectrum. We have 20-somethings, but we have a lot of 50-pluses here, too, I think. Probably because, the guy who's talking to you, you should do a stretching routine every day. My wife doesn't get out of bed. SK doesn't get out of bed before she does a stretching routine. She starts it in bed doing these stretches. It's important. Just start doing it, gang. Just start getting physical. Start taking walks. Maybe you can't walk 10 miles right now. How far can you walk? How far can you walk before you just have to stop? You might surprise yourself. All right, get out there and do the things. It's too cold where I am. It's -30. Go to a shopping mall and walk around the shopping mall with purpose. Not like moseying around looking at this and that. No, I'm going to walk from Macy's all the way down. Do they even have shopping malls anymore? Whatever. Find a place. Excuses don't count. Make it happen. Figure out a way to learn these things. You're going to need them when the balloon goes up. All right. I appreciate y'all. I will see you out there.